Well, hello and welcome. It's National Apprenticeship Week, and I thought, what better way to talk about apprenticeships and get really the key elements of the BIT group involved in this talk today. So I have Dan Troke, Apprenticeship Director from BIT Training, and I have Sam Snowden, the CEO of BIT Security, to talk about the differences between the apprenticeship delivery that we do for our external customers, as well as the apprenticeships that we deliver internally. We kind of practice what we preach, and how they are utilised within everything that we do within the organisation itself. So I'm going to start with Dan. Dan is our Apprenticeship Director. He's going to give us some really good insights into what we're doing as an organisation, how we're slightly different from different providers, and some really cool stuff that we're looking at bringing in into the future. Dan is also on an apprenticeship himself, which I think is also really cool. Not only, again, do we talk about apprenticeships, we actually do apprenticeships internally within the team. So Dan, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here today, to be able to talk about something I'm so passionate about. I mean, you know me, Frankie. Apprenticeships is as my life and has been now for, I don't even want to think how many years now. It shows my age. I love apprenticeships. I love what we do to be able to give young and not so young people opportunity to develop their careers. I think back over my apprenticeship career over the last 15, 16 years and think of some of the learners that I've taught and where their careers are now. I'm not going to name any names today because I haven't asked their permission, but I can talk about one apprentice I had who was actually fairly average apprentice when he was in class with me, and he won't mind me saying that, but he now heads up IT services for EMEA for one of the largest file transfer companies in the world. I have apprentices who are now taking the lead in cybersecurity teams across the country. I have apprentices I've worked with who are IT managers and beyond and decision makers within the organizations they work. I've seen apprenticeships change lives. I've seen apprentices change careers, start careers, and I've seen the impact they have on the individual, but I've also seen the impact they have on the employers as well as they bring those skills in and access training and development and skills into their organizations that, particularly in the adverse economy we have, they can't afford to get elsewhere. Okay, like you said, myself, I'm an apprentice. I currently am doing my level 7 senior leader apprenticeship. Shout out to the guys at Plymouth University, particularly Karen Sweeting, who's my personal tutor over there. I am doing a level 7 program that is funded through apprenticeships that is going to give me, that is giving and bringing to us at BIT the skills and the knowledge to really drive strategy and develop us as a business moving forwards. Apprenticeships are exciting.
Yeah, I totally agree. I was on an apprenticeship 26, 27 years ago when I first joined the British Army. Yeah, I did my level 3 apprenticeship in electrical engineering. So yeah, very much aligned in understanding how amazing these training delivery models are. So I guess first thing I want to talk about is our current learners, right? Because we have learners on program across a varying range of digital apprenticeship standards. What are they doing, Dan? What are they studying right now?
Okay, so let's just talk about our current programs then. Obviously, in apprenticeships, we've been running our apprenticeship programs now for just over a year, 15 months, that kind of time. And in that time, we've got a number of apprentices who are studying on 3 apprenticeship standards. We've got some apprentices who are studying information communications technician level 3. That apprenticeship standard is suited for someone who is coming into and starting a career in IT support, technical support, general help desk, break fix, and those kind of areas in IT. We've got a couple of apprentices who are studying cybersecurity technician level 3. Great apprenticeship standard, very, very undervalued in the sector at the moment. Cybersecurity technician level 3 is about that entry level SOC analyst, defense response, basic monitoring piece that is so important within the cyber sector. The area where we are struggling to recruit people and are trying to recruit people from each other to fill those junior roles. We also have a number of apprentices who are studying for the cybersecurity technology level 4. Big names doesn't always make sense if you just see this name there. The actual name of the standard even has 2021 written in the name of the standard. 2 pathways, 3 pathways. We train people in defence and response. Again, it's that SOC, defender, responder piece, bit of instant response and those kind of areas there. We've got apprentices who are studying to be cybersecurity engineers who are working in environments where they are looking at IT infrastructure and making recommendations and supporting and developing the IT infrastructure that backbones the defence and response that we need in our businesses today. We then have the risk analyst program. We've got a number of apprentices who are developing as risk analysts, who obviously are looking at that GRC piece, that compliance and regulation, and working with organisations from an audit point of view and helping the companies they work with. Some of the guys that we work with at a company called i3 Secure, they do a lot of work with external contractors from their organisation, and they are consulting with them and taking the skills that we're teaching there to help develop recommendations to be compliant and develop security policies in wider organisations. Some exciting stuff.
Now, I know that we got the big advantageous piece where we are an IT and cybersecurity training provider. So and I know you've embedded a number of certifications into our pathways. How does that go? How does that look to the apprentice? How does that look to the employees? Is there benefit? Is it additional work? Do the apprentices embrace that? Is it challenging? Give us a bit of an insight on how that works.
Okay, so look, the apprenticeship world very much is focused around what are called occupational standards. The government, through the IFA organisation, they define an apprenticeship standard which defines knowledge, skills and behaviours that an individual working in a particular job role should have and should develop. Our responsibility as an apprenticeship provider is to teach those knowledge, skills and behaviours and develop people so they can demonstrate those, and to prepare them to be assessed through what's called endpoint assessment. It's the apprenticeship equivalent of the exam window at school, through discussions, through other activities, that they are competent in that job role. If we look at apprenticeships very vanilla, that's our requirement. However, there's more to it than that. Okay, I've worked in this space for 16 years now. Before I came into the apprenticeship space, I used to train for a major national retail IT chain, and I first passed my CompTIA A+. I want to say 2005, but it was far enough away. If I'm a year out, I apologise. Passed the A+, and I gained really early on the value that certification provided me as my career has progressed over the years. What's the beauty of certifications like the A+ is that it certifies your knowledge, maps alongside skills. And the beauty of an apprenticeship is it certifies skills developed from knowledge. There's a synergy between the two. There's a natural synergy between the two. Different training providers take different approaches to this. My approach, based around 16 years of experience within the industry, talking to employers, looking at how apprenticeships work, is to take some of these industry recognized certifications and bring them into our apprenticeship programs so that we are able to offer our apprentices that credentializing of their knowledge, offer employers that deeper embedding of certifications that they know, recognize and understand, alongside the skills that they're developing in the workplace, making your apprentice coming through our programs the real deal. Employers are looking for people who are certified and have work experience. How many entry-level job roles do we see today that turn around and say, I'm looking for an entry-level member of staff who's got X number of years experience and these certifications? We are meeting that need, developing programs, delivering both.
Oh man, awesome. I love it. Sam, I want to flip over to you because I think from an apprenticeship perspective, we always focus, and Dan is a great job externally with our customers. How are we using apprenticeships internally within the security department, within the security teams that you have? How are we in developing and taking those individuals, the programs that we practice externally? How do we do that internally, and what benefit does that give us as an organization and a business?
Great question, Frankie. So certainly in my history of being at BIT Group 6 years ago, we took on a number of apprentices. I think it was 10 to 12 individuals to train them up into cybersecurity. And what we've seen from running through that exercise, we've met and developed some excellent candidates who have now come through into more senior positions in the team. So it's really aided us to develop our own. We did take a slightly different path as well, rather than take on people straight from university. We felt we could actually take them on a step before then. We found amazing individuals from McDonald's. I think we got one from an aquarium who used to sell fish, and subsequently they've kind of moved on. We've got a young penetration tester now, also does our vulnerability assessment, and now getting more involved with cyber essentials. So for a commerciality point of view, billable hours, it really does make a difference to bring talented individuals through and carry on developing them. One of the chaps moved into the Security Operations Centre management post and really drove our team forwards from a cyber analyst point of view, helped create what we are now from a BIT security point of view. Unfortunately for us, he moved on, but just shows credit to the program which he's undertaken, where he's ended up going off to British Aerospace, so one of the primes in the security world. So a real achievement from Sean's perspective, and great to see that progression route, even if we are feeding some of those big primes in the UK. And more recently, we've got Clay, who joined us from the Navy, who's been working under Dan's supervision in terms of running apprenticeships. He's been recently made as a team leader, so he's come in and developed that skill set, but really helps us kind of drive our division forwards for the future.
Yeah, and I think
can I just jump in on the back of that, Frankie? Just a thought as you're speaking, Sam, and you reflected on the choosing to bring people in who weren't graduates and didn't have those skills. What I just want to share was that actually one of the challenges we have more widely in education at the moment is the lack of skills and work experience that our university students are receiving at the moment. And I feel very strongly are being a little bit let down. Whenever we advertise a cybersecurity apprenticeship, I am inundated with applicants from people who completed cybersecurity degrees, even master's level cybersecurity degrees, who are desperate to come and work in the workspace, but cannot get their foot in the door because they don't have the work experience to go with that. And I think that is something that, as an industry, as a sector, that we need to reflect on, is, are we best served through the traditional channels, or is the ability to bring people in with skills and develop those people as we are with work experience actually a viable option that is going to drive the skills that we need? Is this how we invest in UK PLC in the cyberspace?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Yeah. I think just one thing at one point I want to touch on, Sam, and I think was really important is, we talk about the apprenticeships that you've developed internally within the organisation. We never want to see our staff leave, right? We never ever want them to go. We kind of invest time and money and resources into them. However, the apprenticeship is about giving people that chance, right? It's putting them onto these programs, it's developing their knowledge, skills and behaviors. And the fact that actually they move on to bigger and better jobs and bigger and better careers, I also think it's quite a proud moment as well, certainly as an organization, in that you take the individuals, you put them through the program. The ones that move on to bigger and better things, the likelihood is they probably wouldn't have moved on to those bigger and better things if that apprenticeship program wasn't there in the first place. So I get the kind of, we want to keep all of our staff because of the time that we take, but actually seeing them progress and move on into, larger commercial, big scale organizations, it's also it's a massive positive and a plus point, I think, for us as an organization and business.
Definitely so. And if I take a little bit of my history, I was involved with Plymouth Albion Rugby Club, and looking at those young talented rugby players who are coming through. And then we'd look at the Premiership clubs, the opportunity to springboard from what the rugby club developed is very similar to what we're doing here. Sometimes you become that feeder, but you're part of that person's journey. And I think Dan alluded to that earlier. You feel incredibly proud to be part of somebody else's journey, even if they do decide to move on. You've had a huge involvement, and I think, picking up on Dan's piece, it's not just the university pipeline you can recruit from. We find those hobbyists who are just so interested in the subject area, but are terrified by the interview. And the interview is kind of a real stumbling block. And it was something that we kind of eradicated when we kind of took that approach. Actually, we brought them in on a work experience level. And we gave them time to kind of evolve within that position, gain confidence in terms of speaking to those in the industry, and actually from that, then we took them on full time. So certainly from our point of view, there's lessons learned in terms of how you recruit, and sometimes traditional routes aren't the best way to find the best talent.
Dan, talk about apprenticeship standards, okay? I can go online and I can search for a number of providers, and we see the same standard, right? We've seen the same kind of letters and numbers in around that. What are we doing differently as an organization that, maybe makes us stand out slightly more amongst other apprenticeship providers currently delivering these standards?
That's a really great question, Frankie. And it's one that I am trying to articulate all the time as I speak to people. There are some great providers out there in the sector. I would not want to talk badly of any. I've worked for some of the best providers in the sector prior to joining BIT Group and BIT Training. Some great trainers, some great experience, and great skills being taught right across the piece. And I think in National Apprenticeship Week, that's important to recognise. However, what do we do differently? What we do differently, like I said, I've worked for a number of national providers. I've been able to pick up best practice as those different providers have worked, and take a lot of experience and a lot of reflection in myself about how apprenticeships should be delivered. One of the things that we've been working on, we're going to be talking about the future a little bit later on, but one of the things that I've been very conscious of is how do we make our programs not just different for the sake of being different, but different because they add real, genuine value. And what we have done is we have developed what I call our embed, develop, extend delivery model. Okay, and the concept is very quite simple. Is when an apprenticeship comes on program with us, we're going to spend the first part of that program really, really intensively embedding the knowledge they need to be able to do their job. What does that look like in real terms? When a learner comes on program with us, first of all, I have gone through the standards, looked at what needs to be taught, what we need to deliver as a curriculum to our apprentices. Where that curriculum matches key industry certifications, I've lifted those key certifications, brought them to the program. But we don't bring those industry certifications for the sake of it. There's always a reason and a rationale why I might bring the CompTIA A+ into an IT support standard. For instance, some providers use industry certifications, some don't. The delivery model tends to be based around a boot camp. So we've all worked we work in IT. We've gone on IT training courses before, and a lot of the providers have grown out of that space. And so we still deliver a lot of that vendor certification effectively the same way as we've taught vendor certification to industry for 20, 30 years. It's not always the best way to teach an apprentice who is coming at something afresh rather than just rounding off their knowledge for an exam and developing that knowledge fully. So we are busy rewriting our curriculum so it takes a more teaching approach rather than training. With our programs we're going to talk about later, we are now looking at having, rather than a block release, our apprentices coming into the classroom once a week, every week, for the first part of their program. So we're going to see those apprentices on a weekly basis. We're going to be giving them additional learning support through online Moodle learning platforms, with assignments they've got to pass, with homework they've got to do, with labs they've got to go do in the experience, and four of them to be able to discuss. And we're going to have benchmark points which a learner has to achieve along the journey. I'm on a university apprenticeship. I've just completed my module 701 on strategic development. I'm pleased to say to Frankie, the first I've had a chance to tell you, I've had my feedback from that and I've achieved a pass in my first module. But if I hadn't achieved a pass, there'd have been questions about module 2. All right. I am building a program. We are building a program that requires interim achievement along, so that if a learner isn't progressing as we want them to be, we can individually do what an apprenticeship provider is supposed to do, review their individual learning plan, change a timeline, put them back on a program again, and really develop the people around the skills that they need as they go. So this embed piece is not just we'll come in class for a boot camp effectively, but we've got a long arc teaching session, some of that based around vendor, some of that based around our own material, which we are going to credentialize, digital badge, and recognize as achievements along their journey. Develop, embed. As they come out of that embed space, so roughly halfway through the program, we're going to give them the opportunity to develop their skills. And they're going to develop the skills in the workplace. They will have an EPA specialist who sits in the background, talks to them regularly, and helps them develop some amazing evidence of what they do in the workplace as they are developing their skills. And they're going to show them how to showcase that. We embed knowledge, we develop skills, and we extend that knowledge. One of the blessings we have as BIT Group is we've taught industry certification for many years. We have access to all sorts of additional training resources, and we're going to make those available to our apprentices, whether it be through video or just not formally, but can they access video recordings of things that we've taught elsewhere. We're going to look at work skills. We're going to make sure that our apprentices do CV workshops. We're going to talk to our apprentices about career development, how to perform in an interview, how to go to your boss and raise your concerns if you don't feel that you're getting where you need to be. So we're going to extend those work skills and experience beyond the raw apprenticeship standard. What makes us different? I can sum up in 3 words: embed, develop, and extend.
Wow, man, I love it. I think that concept there, those 3 kind of individual kind of headline items, really look at the apprenticeship standards and just do more than what the apprenticeship is there to do. And I think, as we talked about and you've mentioned already, there's value add, right? Value add and enabling value co-creation is all around that service management world, right? But we deliver that within the apprenticeships. The apprenticeships are going to get much more out of the programs, and then subsequently the employers are going to get much more out of those individuals within those apprenticeships as well. So I think it's a really cool model. I'm really looking forward and excited to see that coming into fruition, which leads me on to kind of my final question, I suppose. What's cool, man? What's coming up? What are we doing?
So much is coming up that's cool. Just to reflect on the last thing you're saying, my first foray into the world of apprenticeships, I work for a provider that no longer exists called Xenos. If you work in the IT sector, in the apprenticeship sector, you'll know who Xenos are. There are many of us Xenos trainers and Xenos staff infiltrating around the IT and cyber delivery space. I attended a company meeting once, and George, I can't think what his last name, but he was the managing director, owner of the business. He reflected on what we were doing. And he said that he could make his money and more money taking the skills he had elsewhere. But he loved that he earned his living changing people's lives. We have a moral imperative. We are a business, we're a commercial entity. We have commercial targets to meet, but uniquely in the apprenticeship space. And I think this is something all providers need to reflect and remember, is that we have a moral imperative. The work we do changes and affects people's lives. And our programs are designed not to do the bare minimum. I'd rather that if we go into the business talk and talk about margin and delivery costs and things like that, I'd rather we were profitable, but our margin was smaller because we change people's lives. Moving on to what's coming up though. In terms of apprenticeships, I am so excited to be having this conversation today. If you know me, and you know I talk too much, all right? I'm excited and passionate about what we do, and we've had some amazing major projects on over the last 4 or 5 months, and that have come to fruition, and we've been waiting for National Apprenticeship Week to talk about it. I've been sitting on my hands for weeks, and I can now talk, so please forgive me. Okay, so we have this embed, develop, extend philosophy. We have worked in partnership with CompTIA right from the birth of our apprenticeship program here, and as an organisation we've partnered and worked with CompTIA for a long time. That CompTIA relationship continues. It is core particularly to our IT support apprenticeships. The Security Plus qualification is de facto your start point on your journey in cybersecurity. But we've stepped back. We've looked and talked to industry. We've talked to employers in the sector. We've talked to ourselves, and we've challenged ourselves. And I'm really excited. If you look online today, The press releases have just come out from, and I'm really pleased to announce, you've heard it here first, we are the first global corporate academic partner for EC Council. I approached EC Council last year to discuss how we could bring their apprenticeship programs into their training programs into the apprenticeship space. And this has led to a fantastic conversation that's triangulated from my contact Mel over at EC Council through what we're doing here, and it's allowed us the opportunity to build something groundbreaking. We are now using the academic curricula that EC Council have used across universities and college here in the United States and beyond, and they are now being embedded into the heart of that embed space where we embed knowledge. What does that mean? We are proud today to announce the relaunch, first of all, of our cybersecurity technician level 3 apprenticeship. In my opinion, this is the most undervalued apprenticeship in the IT and digital space. It is designed for an entry-level person coming into a particularly blue team side of things cybersecurity role. It embeds the basic skills to be able to work in a SOC, to be able to work in incident response, and particularly those people that are monitoring on a day-to-day SOC and SIEM, looking for those indicators of compromise and telling someone about it. Okay, it is ideal for those people that are doing those kind of roles and beyond. We're going to play out wider in the cyberspace. It's quite a broad standard, and embeds into that space there. An apprentice coming on that program with us as part of that embed piece that I talked about earlier, as well as following the apprenticeship standard, developing skills and demonstrating their capability, they will study. They will go through an internally based introduction to cybersecurity program that we will badge and we will digitally accredit. They will then study the BCS Foundation Certificate in Information Security Management, CISMB. That gives them a great understanding of information security. It embeds particularly more towards that GRC piece actually, but understanding the background of why and what regulation and why we do what we do in a cybersecurity space. We will then take them on a journey through, and the EC Council have produced a number of entry-level certifications. We will take them through the network defender essentials. We will take them through the ethical hacking essentials. So they understand both sides of the fence. They understand the essentials of network defense. They will understand the essentials of what an attacker, what somebody who's attacking them might do. And then the crowning piece of that embed piece will then be the EC Council Certified Cybersecurity Technician. And they will achieve that certification and have developed all that knowledge whilst in the workplace, whilst developing their skills. We will then develop their skills through and accredit them as a certified cybersecurity technician at level 3 as an apprentice. We jump up to level 4. I'm also pleased to announce today that we have launched, in partnership with EC Council, our cybersecurity technologist new programs, and there are two streams here. One is based around the defense response piece, and one is based around the security engineer. Again, we have core EC Council certifications threaded through that, as well as the Security Plus. Apprentices on these standards, they will do the Security Plus. We will make sure they're ready and they can pass that exam, because if you work in the cybersecurity space, you need it. But we will then take them through Certified Ethical Hacker, so they really understand what the red team people they're defending against and protecting against are doing. If they are on the defense response piece, we will put them through the Certified Security Operations Center Analyst, SOC Analyst program, and they will be given the opportunity to achieve that certification. If they're working as a cloud engineer, we will put them through the EC Council Cloud Certified Security Engineer program. These are powerful certifications that the industry know and understand, that embed the skills they need to do the jobs. And then we will develop them further to develop those skills and be able to showcase it for their assessment. The other program I want to announce today, we are about to launch, and we're still working on the final details of it, but we're about to bring to market, and I could talk about our digital forensics technician program. Okay, this is a new place for us. Digital forensics is such an important part of the wider cybersecurity landscape, and there is a massive skills gap. I'm working with a police force at the moment while I'm working this program to make sure we really meet their needs. And one of the things that I've discovered as I've spoken to them is in digital forensics, there's a massive skills gap. They really struggle to recruit digital forensic technicians working within the police force. Their unit is part of a larger forensic unit. The CSI guys get all the glory, but they struggle to bring the recruits in on board. So we are working with a police force at the moment, and more widely, to really customize and develop a program that is going to help them hopefully leverage digital forensics and learning in that space. The learning program there will top out looking at the EC Council's Certified Digital Forensic Investigator certification. More to follow on that program. I don't want to say too much more about it today. And that's just the start. There's the things that I can't talk about. You know as well as I do, Frankie, that we have solutions coming that meet industry need in the GRC space, and news about those will follow and come soon.
Sam, question.
Dan, this is a question
Yes.
for you. So we've got lots of friends in the MSP world, or the IT support industry. As we see, we get more and more involved with the security element of the industry. The new programs we just launched, how would they benefit from receiving those?
How would they benefit from those? It's an interesting question, actually, Sam. The MSP space, and I'm reaching out and talking to the MSP space a lot in the background. Actually, there's a separate conversation we have with the MSP space that's not about apprenticeships, and that is how they partner with the likes of our SOC team in security to provide those managed services that those MSPs perhaps are not geared up to deliver. And I think there's some great, but that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
However, our MSP partners are more and more needing those cyber skills. As long as there is someone within an MSP who can act as a mentor, particularly that level 3 program, is ideal, because it gives something that they can bring someone into their space, give them the core skills, and they can start to have the ability to, from a security perspective, starting to look at SOC SIEM, starting to look at indicators of compromise and things that are occurring that are becoming more and more of a question and a challenge they're being asked about. They are able to bring that. We have a cybersecurity technician apprentice based on a company called Cellcom up here in York. And our apprentice there is doing exactly that. They are learning cybersecurity and applying it in their MSP setting to improve their stance with their customers, even though they're not a fully fledged SOC SIEM MSSP.
Love it, Dan. I love the thought we're layering from the IT support and then coming into what we do here at BIT Security from a SOC and SIEM point of view, give that extra layer of defense and work together for greater good. Thanks, Dan.
And just to finalize, I guess, I think it's pretty incredible what's happening now, certainly for all apprenticeship providers within the kind of the UK, but also what we're doing as an organization. Some incredible programs, life-changing opportunities very much coming to fruition on the programs and standards you've already mentioned, Dan. As I know, there are a couple more that are kind of very tightly closed at the moment until we publicly can and push them out. But again, certainly a kind of game changer space within that GRC element for apprenticeships. I'm really looking forward to seeing how those materialize. I'm really looking forward to seeing more and more individuals joining the apprenticeship world, whether you're currently employed or looking to start new careers. Really excited to see those people transition into the world of IT and cyber and digital forensics, and move forward in this kind of digital generation that we live in. Team, as always, it is an absolute pleasure to have you both on. Thanks very much for coming on and talking around digital apprenticeships. Look forward to the rest of Apprenticeship Week, and stay safe, be good, and see you all very soon.
Fantastic.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Frankie.
much. Are we